Hi everyone, welcome back, and if you're new, welcome to the channel. So what we're going to do in this one is we're going to do an edit view. So if we click on it now, it just brings us to a blank page. So we're going to create a place where people can actually do the editing. All right, so let's go to Visual Studio Code and actually deal with this right here. So in our editor, we're going to create that view right there. Right, so if we go to our controller, let's open up our thread controller. All right, so in order to get there, you go to your app, HTTP, controllers, then you go to your pages, then you're going to have your thread controller right here. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to actually be dealing with this right here. All right, so let's just return the thread. Let's just return the thread like this and see actually what it returns. So if we click the edit view, as you can see, it brings the thread with the ID and all the stuff with it. You can see the author relation, the category, the tags as well. So everything is in there, and we actually want to edit any of these, we can be able to do that. All right. Now, the first thing that we're going to do, if you guys remember in the previous lesson, what we've done is we created a policy. Now, the policy that we created was called the thread policy. So I want to actually prevent anybody from passing beyond this edit method if they're not authorized. So let's just do like this. So this authorize, all right, then we're going to bring in the thread policy and update. Okay, so as you can see, that update method we created, the constant, okay, and then we just pass in the thread right there. So if the user if this fails, then it basically going to return a 403 error. The person is not authorized. All right, so that's the first thing that we're going to do. So in our edit method, we bring in that policy right there. Okay, so if the user created the post, if this passes, basically, and all that kind of stuff. All of this we already discussed in the previous lesson. So let me just continue. Right, so the next one that we want to do is we want to create a variable. Let's say for old tags like this. Okay, and we're going to call it old tags. Basically, all the tags of the previous thread right there is basically this one right here. Okay, so if you guys remember when I did let's just do like this, return the thread again. I like to explain things so that if you understand something, it makes it so much easier. Right, let me just return the thread quickly. Let's go back. So as you can see right here, here is all the tags right there. All right, so all the tags relation, if you can see it. Now I want these tags to basically be the selected tags. So when the person edits, their tags already pre-selected for them. All right, so let's go back to Visual Code. Let me just delete this quickly. All right, so now I'm just going to call this old tags. Okay, looks like that. All right, so old tags. Now what I want to do is I want to get the thread. So basically this thread right there. Then we're going to go to the tags that method. All right, and then we just want to plug the ID, and then we just going to push them to an array like this. All right, so we're getting all the tags, and we're just going to put them in an array, and I just want to just return the old tags just to kind of show you what it does. So we refresh our browser, you will see now we got two IDs. We got ID of 1 and an ID of 4 in an array of 0 to 1. Right? So this is going to be very handy for us when we get to that part right there. Okay? All right. So instead of the compact method, I'm just going to pass an array of values. All right. So the first one is going to be the thread itself. Okay. So let's do that. So this one is going to be the thread, and that's equal to the thread right here. Okay, the next one that we're going to have is the tags. I just want to pass all the tags. Okay, so this must be a comma, sorry, not a semicolon. And I'm just giving some space so that you guys can easily see things. So tag all. Okay, so then we're just passing all the tags as well. Let me just make sure you import it at the top. Okay, so just make sure whatever you do, make sure you import it at the top. All right, so the next one is going to be the old tags. Okay, and then we just pass that as well to the view. Old tags. All right, so we got all of that, and then we return it to the view right here. Okay, so what we want to do now, under your create method, okay, the one you guys remember when we created the post, just copy everything in that create method and paste them inside your edit method right there. All right, so everything right here. All right, so now the next part that we want to do, let me just give you some space. Okay, so the edit view right here that you see is everything from our create method. Create view actually, sorry. So our create view right here, just copy everything, just repeating myself again, just paste it in your edit view. All right, so this is going to change. This is going to be threads, and this is going to be, okay, this is because we're passing through the thread, so we're just going to pass in thread title, and then we just, after that, we're just going to do the update. Right, so if the user comes, let's just quickly see. And I forgot one thing, we need to pass in the categories as well. So the categories is just basically going to be the category all. Okay, so all the categories as well. Right, so as you can see, we've got our threads. This is a new and update. Or we can do the edit actually right there. So let's go back to our edit view. This needs to be edit. Okay. Go back, refresh. Right, so we got it our edit. So we want the title, this title, to actually be filled with the data that we get from the thread that we passed through. Okay, so the part you see the title right here. So what we want to do, you see the old title. We just want to replace that basically with thread title. All right. Now, the reason why you don't put the brackets, the blade syntax in here is because this is a blade variable that we're passing through. All right. So as you can see, it's not because we're using a component right here. So you don't put in the blade syntax, the double curly braces like this. Okay, you don't do that there. All right. So the next part is, let me just see if it works. Let's go to our browser. If we refresh, you can see we got this new thread right there. Okay. Now, this is going to be the interesting part because the thread already have a category. All right. And what we want to do is we want to match that category for this category right here. All right. So now the first thing that we're going to do is the option to select all categories. Just delete that. All right. So the next thing is we got our option, our value for category ID right here. Now the thing is, after this, we want to put an if statement. Okay. Just to make it if it's selected or not. All right. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to put it at if. So the if is basically, pardon me. All right. So if, okay. So if the category, you know what, I can make this a whole lot easier for ourselves. So what we can do in our thread controller right here, you see we're passing all the categories right here. So let me just pass in selected category, like this. That is going to equal to the thread category. So what this is going to do, it's just going to make our job a whole lot easier. Okay, so let me just pass in the selected category as well. Just give it some room here. So you guys can obviously, I'm just doing this so that you guys can easily see it. I don't want someone to bite my head off while I'm doing this. All right, so let me just, so you can leave it as this. Okay, but as you can see, it's kind of difficult for someone on a screen to, if they're watching, to easily see this. Okay, so that's why I put them like this. Okay, so if someone have to ask me why I do this, the reason is for easily readability, so that someone can easily just read it. Okay, right. So basically, the selected category is basically the thread category that we're passing through, and then we're just passing it through as a variable to our edit. Now, when we're doing our, you will see in a second why that is very handy to do. Right. So the next thing that we're going to do in our edit view is if, let me just put the if statement on its own line right here. Right, it will format it back, but just for you guys to easily read it. All right, so it's all about user experience for you guys. So I just want you to have a good experience seeing the things and reading it. All right, so if the category ID, all right, so if that category ID, this category ID right here, if that is equal to our selected category ID. Okay, so remember the one that we're passing through. Let me just put just the property ID like this. This is wrong. This needs to be okay. Come on, out of formats when I save it. All right. So if this category ID, the one right here, is equal to the selected category ID, the one that we're passing through right here, okay, then what we want to do is we want to put in selected. Okay. So that's our if statement, and then we just want to do selected and add and if. All right. So as you can see, it doesn't format it in a very nice way. Let me just put it all in one line for you so that you can easily see it. Just copy and paste it. All right, and I want to explain it just one more time. So if the category ID, the category that we're passing through is a variable right there, is equal to the selected category ID, then choose selected, else just leave as is. All right, so let me just do this. Sorry, for the selected category, just make sure it's not the method. This right here, don't do that. Just the property, like this. Just call on the property. All right, and let's hopefully everything works now. Just refresh. Now, as you can see, we got our category in right there. Now the thing is, what we want to do for the selected tags, we want to do more or less the same thing as the category. I won't explain it so much. Okay, so let's go back to Visual Studio Code. All right, so what we want to do is for the tags, okay, let's go down. This is our tags right there. What we want to do is under the for each for the tags, we want to actually, let me just create some space for us. Right, so this is how it currently stands. Okay. All right, so we're going to create another if statement. All right. Now the thing about this one is, you remember that we passed everything as an array, right? So if this tag ID, okay, all right, if the tag ID, just put it like this, add in array, okay, so if in array, if the tag ID and the selected tags. Right, so if in that array, if the tag ID is inside, if this tag ID right here matches the selected tags, okay, that's basically, I'm trying to think of a simple English. All right, if in this array is a tag ID that matches these tags, okay, then what we want to do is we want to do selected. Else, leave it as nothing. Okay, so end if. Okay. I think you guys already got the typo. This needs to be old tags, right? The old tags to be passing through right there. Okay, so let me just explain that again. So if the in the array, if the tag ID matches the old tags, then choose selected, else just don't do anything. Now, as you can see, now the tags are selected right there. Quite easy and nice to do. All right, so the next part that we're going to do is obviously for our body section. We want that to be displayed as well. So let's go back to Visual Studio Code. And what we want to do in our body section, all right, so let me go. This part right here, we just need to pass in actually, because remember we're using the editor right there and we just want to pass through their details. All right, so what we want to do is we want to add a closing tricks tag. Right, so let's just do that. So /x tricks like this. All right, so now we got our opening and closing tricks tags, and between that, I just want to add our thread body like this. All right, so let's see if it works. So basically, all we've done is we just added a closing tricks tag to our tricks element right there. Okay, so if we refresh, as you can see, we got our post right there. All right, so we got our title, we got our categories, we got our tags in there, and then we got our body in there. All right, so obviously we need to change this to an update button, not a create button. Okay, so this needs to change to update. All right, so if I'm moving a bit too fast, I'm sorry. The video, I don't want the videos to be too long for you guys. All right, so the next thing is just pause the video if you need to copy it yourself. All right, and this needs to be description, it's fine like that. This needs to body, primary button. All right, so what we want to do in the next one is we want to create the update method, this one right here. So we're going to create a job to handle the request and deal and actually update the thread itself. All right, so that will be doing in the next episode, and we're going to create a route as well. As this is the route is going to the store route, and we want to actually it to go to the update route. All right, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Like the video if you like it. If you don't, please give it a dislike, and positive or negative feedback is appreciated. Thank you guys, and see you in the next one. Goodbye.